Hello, everyone. Happy President's Day. Um, I should have been doing something else today, but I happened to come across this graveyard. Um, I, I always thought it was hard to get into. I thought you couldn't really get access, but it was open, and I just went inside. So I'm going to give you a little tour of the historic Miami City Cemetery. Here goes. So the Miami City Cemetery is extremely historic. Like, the energy here is just so like foundational. It's not funny. A lot of people that are who are buried here are the founders and builders of Miami. Uh, One perception that I had initially was that it was all white only, but no, it's a mixture of white people and black people buried here as well. So again, let's dive right into it. So you enter in this way, okay, off of 2nd Avenue and 18th Street, okay, and you go in. Now it's important to know that in the front basically are the white graves, right? It is segregated, although there's a mixture of blacks and whites here. It is segregated, but for the most part, white people are buried in the front. Now, an important thing to know about how the land was purchased and whatnot. Julia Tuttle, who we're about to see in a minute, she purchased this property, and of course, with anything, it's like an investment, right? People put their money into it, and that's how they got their spots here. So we're gonna again just look around here. Very, very interesting. Look at the old graves. This is like one of the oldest cemeteries in Miami. All right, one of the oldest cemeteries. You see the different grave sites here. All right. So yeah, again, the white people pretty much are buried in the front, but not everyone here is white though in the front. And we're gonna get to somebody in a minute who is not white, who is buried in the front, and we will look at possible reasons why he was put in the front with white people. All right, so now, ooh, cool. Here we have Julia Tuttle, the mother of Miami, okay? Without her, Miami wouldn't be Miami, okay? So this is Julia Tuttle's resting place, God rest her soul. She is basically the one who got Miami started because of her vision of a nice, sunny place to be, okay? This is her, all right? And we're gonna go around. She's in basically the entrance of the graveyard. We're gonna go around and we're gonna see another cool grave. You see, look at all these graves, all right? Look at all these graves. Okay, God rest their souls. I'm trying to keep it as spiritual as possible and respectful as possible because this is a final resting place. But my thing is that all the people who are here, doesn't matter the race, I feel like they left such a legacy behind that they want you to know who they were and the kind of things that they did for Miami, okay? So here we go. Now, the next grave I'm going to show you is that of Burdine's. This is the Burdine grave. This is the founder. This is the Burdine's family. The Burdine's grave right here. Macy's bought Burdine's, but this is the grave site for Burdine's. Okay. Probably I think more than one person is buried in here. Probably the family. But this is the Burdine's grave site, and just by the way it looks, you can tell that he wanted to leave a legacy. All right. He didn't want this site to be here and nobody saw it. You can just tell by how big it is, right? And how grandiose it is, all right? And it does give, I own a retail store vibes, because when you buy clothes, if you're a shopaholic, you love to look good. So here we have Burdine's grave. Now, what's interesting about the way it's closed, it used to have like the bars. Let me show you how the bars look in a minute. The bars, like the grave site over here, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. I'm not sure you can see it, but it used to have bars like this grave site over here. However, there was a time when there was a rapist in Miami who would hide in this vault, and as women were walking by, he would grab them and he would rape them and he would kill them inside this vault. So they sealed it, as you can see, they sealed it up. Okay, so that's one interesting story about that. But again, much respect to this family, for making people's lives great with fashion, Now, one interesting thing is that Dorsey isn't buried in this graveyard, But one interesting thing about D.A. Dorsey, he's buried at Lincoln City Cemetery, which my fraternity brother founded, in the Brownsville area. One interesting thing about Burdine's is that the Burdine store, the only black person or only black family that was allowed to be buried. I'll tell you in a minute. 1 minute. Okay, the interesting thing about the Burdine's store in Miami is that the only black family that was allowed to go in there and comfortably shop and try on clothes and whatnot and just chill was the Dorsey family. Why? Because the Dorsey family had interest. Dorsey had an interest in Burdine's. He helped support the company, okay? So we have Burdine's grave, okay? Burdine's family grave vault here. Now, what's really cool, the only black person that I know of to be buried in the white section of this graveyard, which is the front we're looking at right now, is Judge Lawson Thomas. Okay? Judge Lawson Thomas. This is Judge Lawson Thomas's grave. And what's so interesting about his grave is that it's right next to Mr. Burdine's grave. Isn't that cool? Like how close they are together. Judge Lawson Thomas had a great relationship with the city of Miami, right? And I learned just now that racism exists. Yeah, all these things happen, but it depended on your relationships how certain things were to occur. So in this instance, Judge Lawson Thomas had the privilege of being buried here. I don't know the story of how he got to be buried here. It's my assumption that maybe someone who owned this plot probably saw it in their heart to sell the plot to the Lawson family because of the contributions that Judge Lawson Thomas made to society, okay? And that's why he's buried in the white section of this graveyard. So much respect to him. Again, I'm sending good energy because I know I'm in the final resting place, but it's important to know that these people are also, based on my heart right now, they would want you to know the things that they've done. And one thing that Judge Lawson Thomas did was he helped to create a beach for black people in Miami, okay? Virginia Key Beach. So we're going to move from Judge Lawson Thomas's grave. We're going to keep moving. We're going to see how nice this graveyard is. It's a really nice day in Miami. It's President's Day. So let's keep looking. Okay, here's the Confederacy section of the graveyard. We know what the Confederacy stood for or stands for, right? This is their section. Some of the men of the Confederacy are buried here, and we can look at some of their tombstones or some of their headstones, and to see that one. See, we have one there. 1843 to 1925. Okay, here are some of the people. 1848 to 1936. So it's very interesting to be in this section. All is forgiven. I'm not going to have negative vibes here, but that's the Confederate flag. Some of the history is pretty interesting. We just have to always remember it, But one thing I may get some backlash for this, but I feel like I was told that part of their this site was destroyed by it's not nice. I know that these people they stood for certain things, but we have to show people respect. The same respect we want, we have to show other people. And there's no excuse for this. You see that damage? There's no excuse for that. All right, so we have to learn to show people the same respect that we want in life. All right, so here we go. All right, Confederacy section. Now, with anything, like with Virginia Key Beach, and I talk about Virginia Key Beach and the environment, the environment of the graveyard is at risk too. We have all these buildings going up. I'll show you, for example. That building that we see going up actually is not beneficial to this graveyard because it's going to cause the grass not to grow nicely, So you have to be mindful of things like that. So now as we walk through the graveyard, we have the office here, right? The office here, they have all the information as far as who's buried where. more of the graveyard here, more of the white section. And then I'm going to read, let's see, we have the, it says here, basically that, let's see, it has the information. In 1897, Miss Mary Brickle sold this 10-acre rocky wasteland to the city of Miami for $750. The first burial not recorded was of an elderly black man. Oh, interesting. On the 14th of July, 1897. So from its inception, it was subdivided with whites on the east and the colored population on the west end. In 1915, Beth David congregation began a Jewish section. Other sections are the circles, the first Julia Tuttle, the mother of Miami, and the Daughters of the Confederacy. One Confederate dead erected by the Daughters of the Confederacy. Yeah, so here we have basically the information about that here. Let's see. Okay, so we keep going forward. More graves. More graves. All right. Now we have the Jewish section coming up. All right. The Jewish section. So now we're leaving the white section. Now we're headed toward the black section. Okay. But first, before we get to the black section, we're gonna stop by the Jewish section. All right. And you can see that. Let's do a little quick recording, drive-by. We see the Jewish section right here. We see the Star of David. All right, and that's the Jewish section of the graveyard, okay? We keep moving forward, and now we are in the black section of the graveyard, okay? We're gonna start with, who should we start with? We should start with Theodore Gibson's grave, which is somewhere over here. So bear with me. Just saw it, just came by it. I know it's over here. It's kind of, you have to kind of have alert eyes, good eyes. Because this site is here. We're gonna just go through it. We see how this building is here. It's basically eliminating the shade, eliminating the light, which will cause this grass not to grow like it should grow. Here. Notice also how the white portion of the graveyard had more like space and was more like a lot neater. And notice how the tombs look, the tombs and the headstones look. Let's see, Theodore Gibson. Well, while we're looking for Theodore Gibson, let's look at Philip Bauman, African American incorporator of the city of Miami, dedicated April 25th, 2004. Okay, so he was one of the incorporators of the city of Miami. There's another one as well on the other side, but before we get to that one, let's find Gibson, Theodore Gibson. Where are you? Now, if you don't know who Theodore Gibson is, Theodore Gibson was a civil rights activist, and he always got into good trouble, no matter what. Always trying to find ways to integrate things to cause good trouble so that we could have the privileges as black people that we have now. Okay, so now we're gonna walk to Theodore Gibson's grave. I know where it is now, I remember. Let's see, we're gonna walk over to it right now. And right here we have Theodore Gibson's grave, okay? May he rest in peace. This is his grave. Civil rights activist, always getting into good trouble. All right? That's him right there. And he's right here next to where they're building this high-riser. Okay? So we're going to continue on in the black section of this graveyard. All right? And we're going to just look around. And we're going to go to the grave of the first black attorney in Miami. the first black attorney in Miami. We go right to his gravesite. It's right over here in the corner, or right over here near the bushes by the fence. And on the way there, I believe we're going to find one of the other incorporators of the city buried as well. Okay? Let's see, we're going to keep walking. Sometimes you don't have to talk all the time. Sometimes we can just kind of be at peace because we are in a resting place and we can just kind of like relax our mouths sometimes. Let's see here. So right over here, keep walking. On the way to the first attorney's grave, again, like I said, here we have Scott Payne. Born 1863, died 1917, African American incorporator of the city of Miami, okay? Keep moving. All right. And then we have another one, Edward Richardson, okay? 1877, 1917, African American incorporator of the city of Miami, okay? Okay, keep moving. And then we're going to move on to here. We have attorney Richard ES Toomey, first black lawyer in Miami. So it's so rewarding to be in his gravesite. And actually, let me just pick up some of this trash because I just don't like, if I can help in any kind of way, I will. I don't like this here like that. But we have his gravesite right here, okay? Attorney Richard E.S. Toomey, first black lawyer in Miami. He practiced from 1913 to 1948. So here we have more black graves, okay? Yeah, in Miami we have to be careful, not just with Virginia Key Beach, but with this graveyard. I mean, everybody who's watching this video, everyone who's watching this video, it doesn't matter your race, we see what's happening. These buildings are being built around it, and this graveyard needs more attention, you know? We need to preserve our history so we can be able to go to the sites like Burdine's site, you know? We have to preserve our history, we have to be mindful of what's going on, and we have to take some action to make sure that our history doesn't disappear. So here we have more grave sites. And out of respect, I think I'm going to just keep it moving because I think I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish here. Let me see, we go over here actually. Let's see, we keep going. Here we go. All right. More black grave sites. Okay. Okay, as I walk to get my lunch, there's one thing I think I left out about the Miami City Cemetery. The only way that you can be buried in the Miami City Cemetery is if you are a direct descendant of someone in that graveyard, meaning grandchild, great-grandchild, child, not cousin, not distant, nothing. You have to be a direct descendant. So as I leave this graveyard, you know, this is an awesome experience. I spent some time here. It's really easy to get kind of caught up in a rabbit hole of, and see all this history, all these contributors to Miami. You know, it's really, really, really cool. So, you know, thanks for watching again, and thanks for letting me share.